You know, it's kind of interesting how things like social media and the news and a lot of word of mouth from other people. It's really interesting how those types of things really influence our perception on the world and keeps us distracted from what we really need to be focusing on. What's today? Today is January 3rd, 2025. Um, and I think it was 2 days ago. 2 days ago, on the start of the new year, I get up and I I go on YouTube, right? I go on YouTube and I see a notification saying that there was like a there was there was an accident in New Orleans. There's an accident in New Orleans. 15 people are dead. And I didn't really read or watch the whole video, but all I know is like the one thing I classified it as negativity. Boom. First thing, first piece of newsworthy information of the new year is negativity. Okay. Hopefully it'll get better. Next day. I believe it was the next day. January 2nd. I wake up and I see on the news again a Cybertruck in Las Vegas exploded at the Trump Tower, killing one guy. I think it was one guy. I live out here in Las Vegas, so it's not too far away. Um, Again, boom, negativity. It's January 3rd. I didn't even bother opening YouTube or paying attention to the news or anything like that today because I wasn't having it. I just wasn't trying to hear, something happening to somebody else or something happening to a group of people or whatever the case may be. And it really just made me realize, right? It really just made me realize, excuse me, that we really live in a world full of negativity. The news, social media, it's like all around us is so negative. And there are so many, there's so many outlets that you would think could be safe spaces, right? But they're so negative. They're only reporting on like, things that are trying to keep us down. And I can't help but realize that the media, social media, the news, everything is just really trying to keep us in such a low state of a low vibration to the point where we are losing focus on what we really need to be focused on, our goals, our dreams, our ambitions. And it's like everywhere you go, even when you talk to certain people, it's like you can tell that they're not in it. They hate their lives. They don't want to they don't want to be here. They don't want to, it's like man, I get it. I get how you feel, but it's like you kind of you just got to figure out how to break through that. I understand it's not easy, and I understand that most people, would rather just live that low vibrational life, not have to put in any effort in the things that they want to do. But that's exactly what that's exactly what the elites want you to do. That's exactly what society wants you to do. They don't want to see somebody succeed. They don't want to see you, they don't want to see you lift yourself up. It's like I forgot what picture it was, but it was a picture of a group like the majority of society going one way, and then there's one individual going the opposite way. They don't want to see you go that opposite way. If they see you, they're going to try to shame you, they're going to try to turn you around, they're going to try to tell you, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And they're going to try and they're going to do everything in their power to make you look like the villain so that you can conform and that you can be like everybody else. And it's unfortunate. They try to spread negativity through social media, through the news. They're only going to put the bad stuff that's happening on the news. They don't really put anything positive. they're gonna cater you, they're gonna cater, the algorithm, whether it's social media or YouTube, whatever videos or whatever, platforms that you go to, they're gonna try to cater that to show you negative things, negative feeds, and they want you to stay distracted. They don't want you to rise up and gain the power that you have inside of you. And it just it makes you realize that there are so many people that are not living the life that they want to live, and it makes you realize that all these people are all these people are really just brainwashed to doing things that they think is good and they think is fun, but in reality they're not living their life to the fullest that that I believe that they'd want to live. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell people how to live their lives, but it's like, if you want to live your life, it used to be okay. It used to be a point to where social media was you as a it was used as a tool for success. I mean, to an extent it still is. Like, people make a living off of social media, right? But it used to be to a point where social media was used as a tool to connect, to connect with your friends and family. Started with MySpace and Facebook. You could talk to your friends and everything. You could share like videos and stuff and all that, and everybody was like happy. It was all kumbaya, happy, hunky dory type thing, right? And now you see social media, man. You see any kind of media is just plugged into negativity, you know, plugged into negativity. And it has really affected the minds of people and nearly rewired them to forget who they are, to stay in such a depressed state to where nobody wants to do anything anymore. Nobody wants to interact. Nobody wants to nobody wants to go for their goals. Nobody wants to achieve their goals. Everybody just wants to live a life full of degeneracy. you know, I can't speak for somebody individually, but I can speak for what I've seen. And what I see is the only solution that I see is you have to disconnect from the media. You have to disconnect from the news. Now, still, like, I'm not gonna say 100% just stop watching the news. I mean, to an extent, I kind of am, but at the same time, it's like you still got to be aware of what's going on around. Like, you never know what's gonna happen. Like in the news, what was it? I think it was during that New Orleans accident where I forgot who it was, but I had watched a video too. I had watched a video about an ex CIA agent talking about, oh, you have to be prepared for anything. You have to be prepared for what happens. You got to have your own gun. You have to have guns. You have to be prepared at a moment's notice to evacuate wherever you are. You just got to be prepared for everything. And I'm sitting there and I'm like watching this video and I'm like, I'm just taking everything in because, like, in the back of my mind, I know he's right, because you really never know what's going to happen. Everything, especially in the United States, is so unpredictable, right? You don't know what's going to happen and you don't know when it's going to happen. Like, you can have indicators and predictions, but at the end of the day, you don't know, when and what and who, what, when, where, and how and why, you don't know. You just got to be prepared. And, still, I'm not saying social media is all bad, but it has gotten to the point where social media is more of a hindrance than a help. And so, like, still prepare yourself, still realize and use it to your advantage, but it's become such a hindrance to the point where you can't trust the things that are on. You can't trust, like, the articles that you read. You can't trust the news. You can't trust half the things that you see you know, uh, on social media, on any of these media sites. You got to go deeper. You have to do deeper. You have to do your own research. You have to be able to read between the lines and figure out, okay, this is what they say, but what is the real truth? You read an article, but you're like, okay, that's what they say, right? But what is the underlying message in this? Like in basically everything, TV shows, movies, a lot of these things are signs. A lot of these things tell you potentially what's going to happen. A lot of these things are predictions, you know? And you have to you have to stop putting yourself in around negativity. You have to stop being in situations that are keeping you down, that are making you miserable, that are making you just less functional. You have to be able to separate yourself from that, people included. It's like not just myself but other people have been saying, like, not everybody's going to make it out this thing. Not everybody is going to be able to find that freedom. Not everybody's going to be able to live that abundant lifestyle. Some people are just going to be left behind. And as unfortunate as it is, at the end of the day, you can't save everybody. You cannot save everybody. So the media, man, you just gotta figure out how you gotta learn how to differentiate the good and the bad, and you gotta learn how to use social media to an extent to help you and then discard the rest, because the world is headed into a really depressive and negative state, and you're going to be consumed by that too if you don't do your due diligence and prepare. you know we really have to disconnect from social media, unfortunately, for the most part. Like I said earlier, still use it to help you, but for the vast majority, you can't trust what they say on the news, man. It's full of negativity. It's full of you know just things that are there to distract you, and to just be a slave, to just be a slave for the rest of your life. And I don't think anybody wants to be that way. you know so focus on what you need to do in your life. Focus on focus on positivity. Care, love. Do what you got to do to make your life as free as possible.